Tell Me About It is brought to you by Extreme Health Club.
Trevent Hayes, KY Sports TV. I'm here with James Brown, 104 The Score, 104.7 The Score.
I like saying 104thescore.com because, I mean, that's where most of our traffic comes from, and people can listen to the radio, too.
What?
Yeah, they can.
Okay. We are on Glasgow Electric Plant Channel 60 local channel on Tell Me About It.
Yes, sir.
James, we have a lot of things that we're going to talk about today. The first thing we want to talk about is the Glasgow legend. I've been arguing, they talk about the guy that played in maybe the 60s or 70s, that played Johnny Vance. And Barrett Wright always comes up as the greatest athletes to come from Glasgow High School.
Johnny Vance and who?
Barrett Wright. Barrett was...
Oh, okay.
Yeah, Barrett was good in everything.
I thought that's what you said.
Yes. But there seems to be a name left out that I think could arguably be, I'm going to say for the last 40 years. We'll say 40 years. Basketball, track, and baseball. Basketball, football, and track. Dalvin Smith.
Yeah.
Dalvin has always been a freaky athlete from Little League to middle school to high school. I watched him play several different positions in football. We had KY Sports TV had a showcase here. He was a senior. He had just came off of a torn ACL, and we called it the Sean Elliott brace, the big mechanical knee brace, and we had a dunk contest.
Yeah.
And I don't know, were you there? Did you come to that?
No, I was not there for that.
You didn't come to that, but Skylar Potter from Warren Central, Kurt Lewis, some guys from Louisville, some really big name people. But I had contacted Dalvin. He said, I don't know if I'll be up to it or not. Well, he shows up that Friday night and with his knee brace on, didn't stretch, didn't really warm up much at all, and jumped over a kid with that knee brace on. I think he was like 6 months out of his ACL surgery, and that was just different.
Yeah.
Different.
You know, yesterday, or whenever it was, Monday when we were watching the WKU, my wife and I were watching the WKU Old Dominion Bowl game.
Yes.
And so my wife asked the question, she goes, well, was he a better athlete than Lawan in high school? And I said, yeah. I mean, because my son, you know, he kind of grew up with Dalvin. He was a couple of years older than Dalvin, but they were in that same age range and were around each other. And so my son was like, no, he's the best athlete I've seen at Glasgow. And not to be offensive to the people of the great Commonwealth of Kentucky, but often whenever my son and I see somebody and they're an exceptional athlete, we kind of refer to them as a Mississippi-style athlete. And there's a reason for that, because there are more per capita NFL players from Mississippi than any state, per capita, not total, but per capita. I mean, for a state for 2 million people in it, it's a lot of NFL players that have come through.
Okay.
So, yeah. So you know, what Dalvin fits that category for us in terms of guys that we've seen that are just like, they're just different athletically when you watch them perform. Just different, not just physically, but also mentally, the way they can actually utilize their mind and their body to make things happen. And there were two instances that stood out in that bowl game that were highlight reel plays. I mean, the touchdown and that was WKU's first touchdown when they were down 28-0. The guy's kind of draped on him, and he bends back with his right hand and catches the thing one-handed. Then the pass that was basically would have been over anybody else's head.
And he jumped. And
he caught it one-handed, right, running a crossing route, and then took that 18 yards to the end zone. And then he had a third touchdown later in the game. And it was kind of fascinating because this is 2 years in a row in the bowl game. Basically, Dalvin has shown out. You know, last year I think he caught a touchdown, ran for a touchdown, and threw a touchdown.
He threw one.
Yeah, so this year he gets 3 touchdowns in a bowl game, and it was a game, they needed everything he did in that game.
He's a junior, right?
Yeah, technically speaking, because He got a medical redshirt year.
Then he got the COVID year.
Yeah, from his freshman year at WKU.
I think that yesterday probably really put him on the NFL radar.
Yeah.
I think so. I know Malachi Corley, they were down 21-0, 28-0. They pulled him because I think he'll get drafted early. I'm not saying, early first round, but I think he'll get drafted early. But I think that by him setting out, it really benefited Dalvin.
Well, he went from basically that slot / extended tight end spot to being the primary receiver on the left side of the offense.
Yes.
And the other thing that obviously benefited Dalvin was the fact that they benched the Helton kid at quarterback. He was 3 for 4 with an interception, and they had 2 other turnovers. And they brought in Caden Veltkamp, who played at South Warren. He's a redshirt freshman.
And entered the transfer portal already.
He's already in the transfer portal. And the secondary thing that I saw last night that was kind of interesting about this was WKU wanted him to come back, but as a tight end.
To play tight end.
And
he comes out and almost throws 400 yards.
Yeah. I mean, and just lights it up. And you're just kind of sitting there thinking to yourself, 2 things. One is, you might think to yourself, oh my gosh, are these coaches at WKU idiots? But then the second thing is, it's on Caden Veltkamp. I don't know what's happened.
In practice and leading up to it. But the thing
when I say secondarily, it's on that, but it's also on the fact that when they gave him an opportunity, he took advantage of it.
But the thing that really has worried me for these high school athletes, especially at the quarterback position, is this freaking transfer portal.
Oh, yeah.
You've got guys that 10 years ago that could probably go to Western and start as a freshman. Now, these guys are going to Western, Louisville, Kentucky, everywhere, and they're playing for 3 years, and when it's their time to start, a guy from Florida State transfers, and these schools will go get them, and so these guys still don't have anywhere to go.
Well, I mean, it kind of cuts both ways because they have the option of leaving and going somewhere else. I mean, nobody's going to sit behind anybody anymore, not for more than a couple of years. You may.
But it's kind of like you've worked for nothing at where you committed to.
Well, I mean, if you look at the secondary factor here, it is that the coaches are moving around a lot.
Yeah.
So you may have gone, let's say, to WKU, and the offensive coordinator, your red shirt year there, leaves and goes somewhere else. You don't go with them immediately, but now they know you, and maybe somebody else who was the receivers coach knows you, or the quarterback coach has gone somewhere and knows you.
So they'll come and get you.
Yeah. So I mean, it may seem like they're sitting there waiting for their turn, but the coaches are moving around so much and going different places that really what's kind of happening is offensive coordinator, quarterback's coach goes somewhere, becomes offensive coordinator, and now that guy's got 2 other options other than sitting there.
Right.
Versus what traditionally would have been, and you would have been stuck there and maybe never started no matter what happened.
So now, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I read something that now they are looking at allowing you to transfer twice within the season.
I don't know. There's some legislation. There's a court proceeding that's out there, and to be honest with you, I really didn't bother reading it because there was an injunction, and the injunction is good through sometime in the end of this month. I think it was a 2-week injunction as the case continues related to that, what you're saying. And so who knows how that's going to work out. We'll see sometime next year. I mean, is there presently a rule against transferring as many times as you like? I mean, there is technically, but it doesn't seem to matter.
No.
So
how do you think that's going to affect, and we've talked about this before, but allowing the KHSAA allowing kids to keep transferring?
We've entered a stage where the purpose of these organizations was 2 parts. One was to provide a system of rules that everybody agreed to, and then everybody agreed to follow that system of rules. And if you violated those rules, then there were sanctions. And the only reason it worked is because everybody signed on
by the rules
and said, yeah, okay, fine. But we've entered in a stage where secondarily what happened then was those organizations provided championship opportunities. They sponsor the state tournaments, the NCAA sponsors national tournaments, all this kind of stuff. All that's kind of breaking down, and so that means secondarily what's happened is we don't really, people have just decided, I'm not going to follow this. The people who are a part of the organization is only as good as the members.
Now, do you feel like in high school it's the same as college? The bigger schools kind of get away with more than maybe a Caverna, Glasgow, Barron County?
I wouldn't say that because I don't know how many people are playing at Mayfield, a 2A school, who didn't go to school there to start with. I don't think the size of the school matters. I think geography matters a lot.
Geography.
So if you're in a city, there's a lot more capability of the mobility.
Gotcha. Well, we're going to take a quick break, and we come back, we'll talk a little bit about basketball and maybe a little about Christmas. And
yeah, it's ho-ho season.
Ho-ho. Okay. All right, we'll be back.
Extreme Fitness has doubled in size, now with over 8,000 square feet of co-ed weights and an upgraded 90-degree saline therapy pool. The Extreme Fitness campus also holds the exclusive Extreme Fitness for Women complex and Extreme Blend smoothie bar. You have to experience the variety of classes to realize the impact they have on their clients. Personal training is with the best in the business and is available and tailored to fit individuals. So start your journey today at Extreme Fitness and Health Club.
As Trevent Hayes types away, I'm James Brown here on Tell Me About It, Glasgow EPB Channel 6, the local channel. We're going to talk a little bit about some high school basketball. He's a working man.
I am.
I'm a slacker.
You are not a slacker. Well, maybe sometimes.
Yeah. I mean, I'm slacking.
Maybe sometimes.
Anyway, some high school basketball.
To my surprise, Hart County is number one in the district in
I
basketball.
know, and LaRue County's last.
And LaRue County is last.
Yeah. Well, that 51 game run that the Hawks had, they had not lost a district game in 51 games, I think the number was, since February 23rd of 2016.
I think Mason
Faulkner, yeah.
They beat them.
Yeah, in the first round of the district.
Yes.
And so their next loss was 7 years later, almost 8 years later, really, to Caverna.
Jalen Crane put on a performance against LaRue. I was very surprised at that game, but I had talked to somebody that a former coach, and he said that he had talked with Childress, and he was really worried about matching up with Caverna's athletes.
Yeah.
And they got exposed with a lot of things. Daniel Allen, still Daniel Allen.
Yeah, he was really good.
He had a really good game. I think at one time he came down and hit 4 threes in a row, maybe 5.
Caverna had control of the game, and then he, I think, hit 3 in a row that kind of got them back within a point. Mm-hmm. And then Caverna had a free throw that they made, and then they were able to hold on, win 74-72.
Caverna is a very exciting team to watch.
Yeah.
Until they have that night.
Here's one thing.
The Hart County game, they weren't exciting to watch. And the Greene County game, they weren't exciting to watch. The Greene County game...
I will say I think Greene County's probably the best team in the district after I watched them play.
And, I just don't... I bet they shot 25 layups.
There were two things that happened in the game. One was in the second quarter, I think. Well, first quarter, second quarter. Caverna's advantage was inside, and they missed several shots inside. Even after they would get offensive rebounds and miss the shot, they had some plays they ran inside.
They didn't get very many offensive rebounds. I was really disappointed at the effort on the offensive glass.
Well, this is the part where I think Greene's actually pretty good, is that they are, despite the fact that they were playing a zone, they were really good at their rebounding positions. And so that's the part that I was pretty impressed with.
I didn't look at the rebounded numbers, but I know they had to have out-rebounded us maybe 2-1.
They may have, but I think they wouldn't have if not for the fact that Caverna missed so many shots around the rim. Because in that zone, the way they were running a 3-2 zone to start with, the Dragons were, and they were kind of sagging off the corners down into the corner shooters to take away Desmond, especially, I think. And So then kind of what happened was I thought Caverna had that inside advantage off of them running the way they were running that zone, but they just missed those shots. And since they missed them in there, Greene County didn't really have to adjust. So that meant the shooters never really opened up, and that was kind of the problem. And then the other thing was, I think Caverna went a stretch of 5 minutes without making a basket, and it's hard to run a press defense if you can't score.
You got to put the ball in the hole.
So that's why those were the things that impressed me about Greene. Plus, Greene also has a dude who is a quality player, and he scores inside and out and defends inside. So I just was generally impressed with him. When I say right now, I think they're the best team in the district. I just think they are right now. We'll see what happens after Christmas.
Right, because that's what matters.
Yeah.
LaRue County could still come back and be one in the district.
Yeah. Meanwhile, Hart County, though, boy, they just grind it out. And maybe those football players have just carried into the basketball court.
They're all football players.
Yeah.
I know both of the Shoulders kids had really big games, and Connor Trent had another big game. He had a big game against Caverna. What about Glasgow?
Well, they played last week without Jarek Martin, so that didn't help. They lost to South Warren and then lost to Warren East in an actual district game. I think if you were to look at the Warren East game, probably the point that was most disappointing was that the guards hurt them. I expect Barber for Warren East to hurt them because they don't really have anybody physically to match up with him. But I would think they could guard the guards, and they didn't do that very well. That has a lot to do with Jarek being out because he causes a lot of problems defensively. And, of course, then offensively, he's kind of the key to the offense, at least setting things up. So, we'll see. They played Adair County Tuesday night. So, anyway, we'll see how things go for them, after Christmas to see. Mainly, they need to play better defense than they've been playing, I think.
What about Barron?
Barron, they've been on fire. Shooting three-pointers. Tate Spillman missed the game Saturday, and Bray Bewley stepped up and hit 6 threes. They beat Allen County on Friday night. So, they're looking pretty good at the moment, at least shooting. They're running. I don't know that Barron's ever played this way, even not during Warren's, Cunningham's time. By the way, who became the winningest boys coach at Barron?
Well, congratulations.
He knocked off Steve Riley, who was the winningest coach. I know they didn't really play this way during Steve Riley's time. They were a grindy team, so I don't know how far back you have to go to find a time when they were running a spread offense, getting up and down the floor, shooting threes. They shoot about 33 a game. They're hitting about 33%, 34%, something like that. It's not just one person. There's about 5 different dudes on any night who catch fire on you. So, they're actually a lot of fun. They're just different. For people who are longtime Trojans fans, enjoy it because I know you've not really seen a team play like this from there.
Girls Barron's have they lost?
They have not lost.
They've not lost. They're clearly the favorites to win the region.
I don't know. Franklin Simpson's looking pretty good.
They have the transfer from Russellville.
Yeah, Larisha Cawthorn.
Yes.
She's made a huge impact. Now, here's the thing about Franklin Simpson. Last year, they looked really good because they could press people, get turnovers, and get easy baskets. She's helped win probably in a half court if they get stuck in a half court. But last year, their guards weren't really good against pressure. When they play Bowling Green, Barron County, they will face pressure. So it'll be interesting to see if they've improved in that way from last year.
Glasgow girls, I watched them the Bowling Green game.
Yeah.
I haven't really got a chance to see them.
They're just not shooting the ball very well. Which is a little bit surprising because they have probably about 5 kids on that team who can shoot the ball.
They can shoot. I know they're pretty much led by the 8th grader, right?
Yeah, Addie Slagle. Now she's having a great season, but some of their other folks who are pretty good shooters are just not hitting their shots, and they're another one of those. Like last year, they won all their close games, and then struggled to make shots as the season went along, even though they won that district game. This year, they've kind of started out a little sluggishly in terms of losing close games. Other than the Franklin Simpson game, where they got run out the gym, all their games have been close, so they could have won them all. They could be 5-1 or whatever instead of having only one win.
We'll mention Caverna's girls. Friday night was probably the worst score I've ever witnessed.
Yeah.
And you know, sometimes you can't help it, but Green had their starters into the fourth quarter.
Yeah. If there was only if there's only one thing I would have preferred to see him at least not play them to start the fourth quarter.
Right.
Now he only had
and they
10
were still
players.
trapping out of the zone.
Yeah.
I mean, that's garbage.
I don't know. I'm of
It's
two minds.
It's garbage.
I'm of two minds. If I'm playing for Caverna, I don't want anybody to like not play.
Right, but you don't want to get trapped and you're down 71-1.
No, that's not. That seems unnecessary.
Let me tell you something.
Seems like a good time to work on your 2-3 zone.
I was with Coach Peter DeStefano yesterday, and he was coaching at LaRue County during those times of Tommy Adams making his runs when he was beating people that bad.
Yeah.
And the chickens always come home to roost.
Yeah.
It'll always come back to you.
Well, and it's kind of, I mean, just the situation. I think Coach Barber only had 7 players in that game. The numbers are a bit of a struggle. They're also very young.
And they're young. And you know, it's just, I just hope those girls can stay encouraged to keep playing.
Yeah.
But I think they will.
The district's a rough situation for
It
them.
is. And before we go to break, we're going to shout out Dia Bradley.
Yeah.
Dia's averaging 36.2 a game, I think. Clearly right now a forerunner for Miss Basketball. Mm-hmm. So we hope that she continues to have success.
What did she break the school record? 54
She broke the
points?
single game scoring record, 54 points. She's Campbellsville College commit. So we'll be looking forward to seeing Dia. We'll try to maybe get her in here for too long.
All right.
Maybe that may be able to. They spread that out somewhere. Maybe get her some more votes somewhere. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to talk about Christmas.
Extreme Fitness has doubled in size, now with over 8,000 square feet of co-ed weights and an upgraded 90-degree saline therapy pool. The Extreme Fitness campus also holds the exclusive Extreme Fitness for Women complex and Extreme Blend smoothie bar. You have to experience the variety of classes to realize the impact they have on their clients. Personal training is with the best in the business and is available and tailored to fit individuals. So start your journey today at Extreme Fitness and Health Club.
Trevent Hayes back with Tell Me About It.
Hi, I'm James Brown. I'm with 104thescore.com.
And I'm with KY Sports TV, and we're both with the Glasgow Electric Plant Board, Channel 6, the local channel.
That's right.
And what are we on?
What do you mean, what are we on? Tell me about it.
Right, the show.
Yeah, you said that to start with.
Well, I just wanted to see if you knew. You always quiz me.
We are on Oxygen. What are you looking for Christmas?
You know, James, I'm a little different. I'm really not
You don't
into,
say.
What? Okay.
I'm glad we're having fun. I hope people
We're
like
having
this.
a good time. We've been talking about the concert that's coming up here next year.
Yeah.
We were just talking about Little John.
No
East Side Boys.
No, what? Oh, okay.
Just Little John. We were just laughing. You know, we're both, and Aaron, we talked about the memes and Dave Chappelle. And Dave Chappelle probably made Little John more money than Little John made him.
Yeah, I'm sure he did.
Yes, that's probably the funniest, one of the funniest episodes ever of the Dave Chappelle Show for me. But that's where the huh and what's and okays are coming from today. It's all in fun.
I wasn't going to clue people in. We were just going to end the show and people were going to be like, were they huffing paint or what?
Well, that's why I wanted to clear that.
Oh, okay.
I don't want anybody to think that we're on drugs.
Yeah, no. That's why I said we're.
'Tis the
we're high on
season
oxygen.
to be jolly.
Yes.
You know, James, I really don't get into receiving things for Christmas.
Yeah.
I'm more of a giver. Mm-hmm. And that's been something that I've done for probably the past 15 years. is, and it goes back to Trevor. When I took Trevor, he was in an unfortunate situation, and as the years went by, we decided that instead of, really focusing on him and family, we like to provide things for those that wouldn't be able to, have it. I just don't get on Facebook and post it. Hey, this is what I got so and so for Christmas. I'm just not a fan of that. I don't believe in taking pictures for everything that you do.
Yeah.
And saying, hey, look at me, I did this for so and so yesterday. And if people want to do that, that's their prerogative. But I just don't get into that.
I find, I'm a natural cynic, so I find when people do a whole lot of look at me stuff, it makes me skeptical of them. It's probably a flaw in my personality, but
You have a flaw in your personality?
that's one of them.
Wow.
But it probably is, because I shouldn't have that response. But then again, because everybody has a need for verification,
Validation.
Yeah, validation of what they
Yes.
do and that kind of thing. And that's how some people get it, and that's cool. And some people get it in other ways. Some people are more public about their validation, and others aren't.
And I was really because I always put it out there that kids are in need, and I had a lot of personal responses from people that share the same willingness to give. So it was really good.
That is something I will say about our community in general, is that it's a pretty good community, and especially around the holidays, of providing events, whether it's some of the churches or just some of the nonprofit organizations. Some of
the Boys and Girls
businesses.
Club, I really applaud them. They do a great job.
Yeah.
They provide Christmas for a lot of kids.
Yeah, those things I think are all very good, and that's probably one of the things over the 20 years I've lived here that I've always been most impressed with. Because there are a lot of communities that don't really have people who get out there and
they
do for
don't
others.
care.
Yeah, So I applaud everyone who does that, even the ones who validate themselves on social media that way. But then again, it's also, if you're going to have an event or something
You
of that
want
nature,
to advertise so that people know that and I don't know. Maybe I shouldn't have said that. Maybe I should.
I'd be remiss if I didn't also say that at Glasgow News One, which is the sister thing to what we do at the Score, we write a lot of stories about that stuff. That things that are coming up, or Christmas related, or just event related, that's generally open to the public. So.
And I guess the reason that I really don't like to say is because sometimes people will approach me and ask for help, and it takes a lot of courage for people to say that they need help.
Yeah.
So I just don't believe. I believe that if somebody confides in you enough to tell you that they need help, that you don't need to say, hey, look, I helped so and so.
Yeah.
That's just me. So what about you for Christmas? You going back to the Crooked Letter?
Yeah, we are going to go back to the Crooked Letter for a few days.
Are you going to eat chitlins for Christmas?
I don't do chitlins.
I thought you did.
Well, I've had chitlins before, but that's just because, when you grow up
Are
poor.
you too good to eat chitlins now?
Yeah, I guess
You are?
I aged out
So
of chitlins.
you bougie.
Yeah, I am bougie. I only like my chitlins in a remoulade sauce. So
Okay. Well, hey, to each his own.
no, not really.
So what do y'all eat barbecue in Mississippi for Christmas?
No, it's kind of, we just have a variety of different things. One of the things I do, like when we get together for family, is cook tomato gravy. So that's you got this look on your face like, what?
You're the second person that I've ever heard even mention tomato gravy.
Have you had it before?
And I will not eat it because I do not eat tomatoes.
Well, it's
But
not.
I tell you what I'd like for you to do.
Okay.
When Meek's here, I'd like for you to make it. He loves it.
Really?
That's an African dish.
Well, that makes sense because, that's really where it comes from.
It
It's
is.
that kind of Creole growing up out of the South. probably
Tomato
coming out of the
gravy and
Caribbean, I
peanut
think.
butter gravy. He eats peanut butter gravy.
Never done that before. Well, I'll skip that one because I'm not big on
Me too.
peanut butter. But the tomato gravy is not that tomatoey if it's made right.
Wow.
It's just that good roux going on as a base.
Well,
This has been the cooking show here on Glasgow EPB Channel 6, a local
And
channel.
we may air a cooking show next year on Tell Me About It. We may tell you how to cook a few things. You never know about us.
You can do chitlins out to tomato gravy.
Sounds good.
All right.
All right.
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas to everybody, and we will be back with you guys after the first of the year.